subdivision design standards, section 3-2 of 3, entitles our pavement standards and any other matters considered there. I guess we'll call it CC.
So you want to stand up here? Thank you, sir. I'm Frank Jaster with Civil Engineering Consultants out of San Antonio. Basically, I'm going to walk you through what happened as far as the reports. I think there are two of them that I guess kind of in question. The first report was signed and sealed on February 2nd, 2017. The recommendations on it were basically that this committee right here would review the report, use the ESOL values that were generated within the report to develop values for the ordinance. It wasn't really so much where I was going to do that. Okay, we can get to that over here in a little bit. We got a solution for this thing too. The second report was generated after, I guess, review by the city. City staff, in particular Teresa Esparza, gave comments, and that was what you saw in that second report. And that second report was not signed and sealed. It was labeled as draft. Never really got any feedback from the committee. It was supposed to go back. Both of them were supposed to go to the committee for review. And so I was kind of assuming the comments that were coming back was from the committee. And I'm assuming that. One thing, too, that I want to point out, a study like this really should have vehicle classifications, which we had in this study. We didn't do all the streets that were classified, like the cul-de-sacs and stuff like that. They weren't warranted as far as classification. I think there's a question as to ADT on the reports. And actually, all of the paperwork in there, it has ADT, average daily traffic volumes in there. So I just want to make sure that's clear to everybody that there are ADT values on each one of the streets. What happened is that some of them are in two different directions as far as classification. That's just the way the process is being done. Mr. Arredondo, who is our sub to us, that's how they collect. I think they collect traffic data for the city also here locally that I'm aware of. At least that's what I was told by him. So it's not, and the other thing is it's not just traffic ADT, it's also classification. Some of the streets we did classify because we knew the heavier volume streets like the collectors, and then some of the residential ones, the higher volume residential ones, we ended up doing some classifications too. Classifications actually have two tubes out there, so you can actually tell whether it's a light vehicle like a car or pickup truck, or whether it's like a UPS vehicle or something like that, a larger one, or whether it's actually a tractor trailer rig or something like that going through there. So we did have some of those show up on some of the larger volume streets. I just want to make sure that everybody understands that we did collect what needed to be collected. Okay. Data pool, one thing a point I will make too, and I think we kind of talked a little bit about when we started selecting the streets and stuff too. 20 streets is really a very small population for a study as sensitive as this. So that's one thing y'all may want to look at a bigger population. If y'all got more data, that'll be something that can be possibly used in here. Some traffic data that some other ones may have collected. That would be beneficial. The other thing I want to point out I was going to make too is and this kind of ties back into the current ordinance. The traffic was collected on existing subdivisions. And that's pretty much all we could really do. Just older subdivisions that were actually built out. They're older. They're not experiencing vehicular traffic like you would in construction in the build-up, the beginning of the project. Okay, so that's one thing that I want to make sure is clear to everybody in here. And so during the beginning of the project, you would expect more or higher ESOL values. Okay, maybe not as high as what we have in the current ordinance, but definitely more. Okay, and that's something that again we can maybe look at. Maybe there can be some collection of some traffic or something in the new subdivision that's going on or something like that. That's something that we can work with you guys on. The other thing too, when you go back to, and the other thing is I know how, and developer John can kind of help me out on this too. A lot of the subdivisions take a while to build out. You know, maybe say 15 years, 10, 15 years, 20 max, maybe. Is that fair?
Depends on.
Yeah, I know it depends upon pricing and where it's located and all that stuff.
Which builders are in there.
I understand. So, you know, and that's one reason, that's one thing that we got to be careful with when you start looking at initial reductions. It can be reduced, though. I want to make sure everybody understands the values we have allows us to reduce them. Okay, probably not as low as what they are, but we can reduce them. I actually have a plan or something we might be able to present with you guys. I talked to our traffic engineer about this, and maybe something we can do to bring this down. Maybe as not everybody here is an engineer, but factor of safety was a term that was thrown out. And, you know, we can do a factor of safety of 2 or 3 or something like that. Well, we actually have a chart that we can use that might be able to help us get some values that are probably more reasonable for everybody. Ultimately, it's going to come down to coming together and working together for a solution on this. The last point I want to make is that the value calculations used. Now, I kind of made reference to this. I don't have the chart on here, but I will put it in my next version, my next final report, if you will. The chart will be in there, but we used an AASHTO chart in there that actually gives us a truck factor. We have the truck factor for the classified streets, and we also interpolated the truck factor for the unclassified streets, the ones that we just took ADT on. So what we did, what my traffic engineer did, was he used an average truck factor. And this may be the solution to this whole thing, I don't know. Instead of using the average truck factor, which gave us volumes around what you saw in the report, which were like as an example, for flexible pavement on Exodus Street was about 131,000 easels. If we go in there and do the truck, and that's one that has 1 million easels on it. Okay, bear in mind that. If you do the truck factor on the high end of that chart, we're looking at about 245 million. 245,000 easels, which is still significantly less. But again, it's something that I've given you all the values.
Is that on both ways? The 250, if you're talking about both ways?
Yes,
so,
yes, sir.
So on one side of the section, it'd be half the numbers is what I saw on the...
Correct. So what happens is we do the overall easel value, and then we have to take it and divide by 2. So we have a one direction easel value. And that's how we come up with our paving design. Right. Okay. So